Hey everybody, welcome to your quick traffic internet marketing masterclass. I'm Sterling Valentine. Glad to have you. We're going to be talking about some ways that you can use to get some quick traffic right now. Get a pen, get a piece of paper, because we're going to be doing some real actionable stuff. A lot of the stuff that gets taught today is theory, but this is going to be actual battle-tested, street-proven, current, cutting-edge, state-of-the-art stuff. And the reason why I say that is because we've got a community of hundreds and hundreds of VIP students from all walks of life, all different countries, all different age groups, and we've been meeting together every week for webinars since fall of 2008. So I'm always checking in. What's working best for you for traffic? If you're using that particular site, how are you using it? What's the way that you're using it? Do you have any ad copy to show me what you're doing? Because I really want to make sure that we have a results-based community, a performance-based community, where we can check our stats against each other and really find out what's working the best. Now, is this the absolute most best traffic strategy known to humankind? Hey, I don't know. I just know that I represent my community, and I try to keep my ear to the ground of what everybody in my community is doing. So are there other answers? Of course, there's probably other answers. But for all of us, hundreds and hundreds of people that have gathered together and put our heads together and collectively tried to figure out the best strategies, I believe that we've figured out a really pretty good way where we've seen people get 100 subscribers in a day sometimes, so it can definitely work if you just keep your mind open and stay focused on what the community is doing and not just going out there and innovating and trying to do it yourself, because there's no need to reinvent the wheel when other people are already working out there hard on your behalf. You can just leverage what they know, and we all do better when we put our heads together. So let's check out our bullet points for tonight and talk about getting some quick traffic. Tonight's masterclass objective is to learn advanced strategies to quickly get traffic flowing easily and inexpensively. Now, you'll notice that I got a little typo in there, but that's how we do things around here. Fast and furious. We stick to getting the right things right, and the right thing to get right is figuring out how to get quick traffic. So let's take a look at what we're going to learn. We're going to talk about where to buy clicks for pennies, and it's very important to be able to make sure in the beginning that you utilize your funds effectively. Look, not everybody has funds to start a traffic campaign. So the important thing is to use those funds wisely and to not just be buying and trying and juggling and struggling and flailing all around, just throwing money at different things. Because frankly, somebody else has tested most of this stuff. So it's better to lean on other people than to just try to do it yourself and go it alone. We're going to talk about how to utilize free traffic sites effectively, how to find the best solo ads and ad swaps, how to manage all your traffic sites in one place, and how to get some viral traffic. So, excuse me, I really like to start with the end in mind and talk about viral traffic from the beginning, because most of you are using a squeeze page. If you're not, you really should be. And one of the great things about using a squeeze page is that you're showing your page to a lot of different people, right? You're exposing your squeeze page to thousands and thousands of people. We actually are also going to talk a little bit about conversion rates. So I want to write that in there as well, just in case I forget. It's very important to understand conversions. I was thinking about this earlier, and I didn't want to forget to remind you guys about it. So I love the idea of being able to double up my work whenever possible. I like to get 2 results for the price of 1. So if you're using a squeeze page from ListLaser, which is what we recommend to all our students who don't currently have a squeeze page, to just go to listlaser.com and get one. Then you have the benefit of also having some of your traffic that doesn't opt in at least possibly earn you some money as a ListLaser member. I don't know if you can see down here where it says click here to get your own free squeeze page, just like this. So the first lesson about getting traffic is, even if you don't get an opt-in out of the traffic that you're exposing your squeeze page to, you may have a secondary use for it. So before we go any further, I just wanted you to understand that even traffic that you drive to your squeeze page and don't benefit from, that don't actually turn into opt-ins, can still turn into a ListLaser member, and then you can get a benefit that way. So I try to get you guys to get maximum use out of what you're doing. And to be honest with you, a lot of times people teach this stuff, in my opinion, a little bit backwards. They teach to take your traffic and drive it directly to product offers. Get yourself an affiliate link and go directly to a product offer. Well, what's the problem with that? The problem is, if you drive traffic directly to a product offer, most of the time, most of the traffic that you're driving isn't going to convert. It's just the nature of the beast, not all traffic converts. So if you're driving traffic to a product offer, like an affiliate link or something, what happens to all the people that don't buy it? You lose them. They're gone. And you've spent time, energy, and money to get them, and you didn't get any benefit out of them. What's worse is, if somebody who is selling a product that you're an affiliate for has decided to sneak a little sneaky squeeze page inside of their sales letter, which you've seen sometimes, then what's worse than just not getting any benefit out of it is you're actually driving the other guy's list building. So the good news is you're doing list building. Congratulations. But the bad news is you're doing it for the wrong person. So what you need to do is put a squeeze page between any traffic you drive and any product offers that you want to see, your prospects see. And the reason that you do that is because now, when you can capture them, you can have more opportunities to deliver multiple products and services more often. So when you're driving traffic, make sure you're driving it to the right place. It's not just about the quantity or quality of traffic that you're driving, it's the destination that you're driving it to. And to try to drive traffic directly to a monetization offer is kind of like you and I standing on opposite sides of a house and each throwing a tennis ball on the count of 3, hoping that we can somehow make those 2 balls hit each other over the roof. It's very, very difficult. It's possible, but it's very difficult, and it's not really a sustainable strategy to try to blindly throw something and hope that the thing that you're putting out there is also simultaneously, coincidentally, the thing that people want. It's very challenging. So if you have more of a broad-based, generic squeeze page that can capture names and email addresses, then you have a lot more likelihood to get more yeses. It's easier to get a soft yes on a squeeze page to get a free report, and then when you have that name and email address, then you have the permission to send multiple product and service offers to the community that you serve so that they can choose over time which thing they want. So as you can see already, we've talked about traffic, but we're talking about 2 things that are only tangentially related to traffic, but they still really, really affect your traffic strategy. Why is it important to be able to try to get secondary usage out of your traffic with a viral link at the bottom? Because it gets you more for your money. Why is it important for you to drive traffic to a squeeze page instead of directly to a product offer or an affiliate offer? Because you get more for your money. So before we go any further, I just want you to make sure that you get maximum return on whatever investments that you're going to make. Because traffic's going to cost you either time or money. It's definitely going to cost you energy either way. And I don't want to just see you go out into the wild and come back and say, yeah, I blew a whole bunch of money or a whole bunch of time and energy on traffic and I didn't get anything to show for it. And I ask people why, and they say, well, I sent people to some affiliate link, and I go, well, there's your problem, And that's a shame, because I think this is being taught incorrectly in a lot of ways, and I'd prefer that you get the most out of it. So we've talked about using viral traffic and why that's effective. I want to move into getting clicks for pennies and understanding conversions. So let's take a look for a second at this slide. Let me see here. Okay. So understanding conversions. So you see that you send out a traffic trigger. Now what's a traffic trigger? That could be an article, a paid ad, an interstitial ad, which we'll talk about in a little bit, or any kind of viral safe list or list builder, or anything that you put out there, anything that you do, that's a traffic trigger. Anything that somebody trips over and has a call to action in it that says, hey, since you tripped over this thing, whatever it is, come to my site. That little call to action traffic trigger is the thing that you're putting out there to get people aware of you and to invite them to take action to move towards you. So you put out your traffic trigger, and not everybody's going to click on it and click through, right? So let's say, for example, it was an article. So you put an article out there, and there's a little bio box at the bottom. So there's a certain percentage, first of all, of the people who experienced your traffic trigger. Now, not everybody who experienced your traffic trigger will click through. That's the first level of loss, as we call it, because if you had 100,000 people read your article, not 100,000 people are necessarily going to click through it, right? So you got to get your numbers down. You have to understand what you're doing and understand how these things affect your final numbers, right? Because we start off with everybody in the world being a possible suspect, but we don't end up with everybody in the world at the end, right? It attritions. That means it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So whatever number of people see your traffic trigger, then you have a smaller percentage of those who are going to move from that traffic trigger to the click-through. that means only some people click through to the next phase, the next level, whatever that is. And what that would be is, let's say it's your squeeze page. So the trigger's there, they read the article, they click through to your squeeze page. Now they're on your squeeze page, and they're taking a look at it. Already, we know that some of these people are not going to opt in. Some will. So your squeeze yields a certain percentage conversion to the opt-ins. So X% of people looked at your traffic trigger and then clicked through to your squeeze page. X% of the people on your squeeze page click through to your opt-in. So maybe 25% of the people who landed on the squeeze page actually opt in. Now you're there. You've got people who've opted in. If you're doing double opt-in, then did they confirm? So from the opt-in, did they approve their confirmation email? Yes or no? Sometimes people opt in on single opt-in, and then they don't finish. They don't do that extra step of, yes, I approve this. And the reason for double opt-in is simple. It's because the autoresponder service is trying to protect themselves from spam complaints. So anybody can sign up, anybody else. I could sign you up for an email newsletter somewhere. And if they don't have double opt-in, then that means that you'll immediately start getting that newsletter, whether you want it to or not, and you'll think you're getting spammed. So in order to protect themselves, they've set up double opt-in. That means that when I sign you up, they'll send an email to you that says, somebody signed you up. If it was you, please confirm, and we'll start sending them. But if it wasn't you, ignore this and don't worry about it. So they're protecting you and themselves. So if there's a confirmation email requested for a double opt-in, then it's a further percentage that you can lose that may or may not come through. So once they've done that, and they've double opted in, now they're confirmed. But how many have actually opened any particular email? And we talk about the open rate here, right? So on any particular email that you send, let's say you've got a confirmed list of 200 double opt-in members, and each one of those has opted in, and then they've confirmed it too, so you know that they really want it. If you have a 10% open rate, that means that when you send the email, maybe 20 people out of the 200 actually open it. So you can see that not everybody is always doing everything that you think. And I think that's one of the biggest beginner mistakes when they talk about traffic, is that they say, I drove thousands of people to this website, and they expect as if thousands of people would have bought their product. But there's so many levels to go through. People don't really realize traffic and conversions, how much they have to do with each other. So they end up having unrealistic expectations of what's happening. I drove 5,000 people, but I didn't get 5,000 sales. Well, yeah, because you had not everybody opted in, and then out of everybody who opted in, not everybody converted, and then out of the people who converted and confirmed, you lose some along the way. So you have to understand this ahead of time so that you end up with net numbers at the end that match what you want. Driving thousands in the beginning doesn't help if you only end up with 10 or 15 on the back end. So you want to drive enough on the front end so that the numbers on the back end match what you want. So I hope you're starting to understand this. So now that we have an open rate, somebody opened up your email, we still have opens to click-through rate. Now remember we talked about click-through before at the very top here? We talked about click-through on the trigger. So the traffic trigger, whatever it is, the article or something like that. If 100,000 people looked at it, but 1,000 people clicked through, there's your click-through from your article to your squeeze page. Now we're in the email box of people who've already opted in, confirmed if necessary, and now we're looking at how many people are actually going to click through on the call to action that your email provides. So we've confirmed our email, we get an email. Do we open it? Okay, let's say these people open it. Yes, it's open. So now, out of all the people who have opened it, what percentage of people click through versus what's the alternative? The alternative is close the email and not click through, right? See how each one is a little choice point? So then the final layer here is out of the people who have clicked through, what's the next step? Well, if it's a sales letter, now we look at the conversion to sales. So if you had 100 people, let's say you had 200 people open your email, as we said before. Out of the 200 people, 10% click through, So that's 20. Then out of those 20 people who click through, maybe you got a sale. Maybe. Maybe more, maybe less, maybe none. And that would be a 5% conversion rate on the sales letter. You see, 5% of the people, in this case, 5% of the people who click through to the sales letter actually purchase, 1 out of 20. So if you can, pause this if you want to, write these down, start to understand these layers, then you'll know, let's say you wanted to make, let's just be real basic for the sake of argument, one sale every month of $27. Let's say you wanted to make a $27 sale a month. And of course, if you wanted to make 10 times that or 100 times that, then you just multiply the numbers I'm going to give you. But let's say you wanted a grand total of 1. All right? So if you have a sales letter that has, 5% conversion, then you'd need 20 people to click through. And if you have, let's say, a 50% click-through rate on your email, then you'd need 40 people to open it in order for the half of them to click through, right? And if 40 opened it, then you'd need, at a 10% open rate, you'd need 400 people on your list, right? And in order to get 400 people on your list, you can see where this is going, right? 400 people on your list maybe come from a 10% conversion rate sales letter, which means you'd need to drive 4,000 people to your sales letter, right? So and that depends, of course, on the quality of the traffic. So I hope you're understanding how to build the bridge backwards from what you want to end up with here, back all the way to the beginning to your triggers. Understanding traffic and conversions from the back to the front is the way to ensure that you're putting enough volume in on the front end here so that you end up with the numbers you want on the back end. Don't just think, I sent 50,000 people. Something must be wrong because I didn't get 50,000 sales. Now that you see how the layers go, it makes a big difference. So let's get back to our bullets for a few minutes. So I want to show you a place where you can buy Click for pennies. It's a really great site. We've been using it off and on for about a year. It's working very well. And I have a redirect on it just in case, for some reason, by the time you view this, it has changed and we've moved on to a different site. I'll redirect the redirect we use to that site. So the name of the place is right here, flyad.me. And it does something very interesting. It does what's called interstitial ads. And I want to talk to you a little bit about this because I don't think people understand the power of interstitial advertising. This is probably the quickest, easiest, and least expensive way to get traffic. But it just takes a little bit of mastery because it's a little bit of a unique beast. So the more you can understand it, the more you can use it effectively. So if you've ever used a URL shortener, you'll understand what I'm going to say. And if you haven't, I'll make it real easy. If you've ever used Twitter or someplace where you have a limited number of characters and you've ever wanted to send a really, really long URL, a long domain name, like cnn.com/oiltankerexplodes/ environmental news or something. That's really, really long to send to somebody. But if you can use a URL shortener, it will change it to like h1.ly./123. That's like a shortened link right there. It's a made-up one. But do you see how that's so many fewer characters than the really long one, CNN whatever. That thing could be 100 characters long. So you don't have a lot of room when you type on Twitter. So you want to make sure you shorten URLs. So people are using URL shorteners, free public services that you go and put a really long link in and it yields you, it converts it to a really, really short link. Well, the people at FlyAds decided that they were going to monetize their URL shortening service. It's a free service, but when people go there to shorten a domain name, they come back with a link that shows an ad before it shows the actual site. So if you sent me this link to the oil tanker article, and I click this link, instead of just redirecting straight to the oil tanker article, it first redirects to an interstitial ad. Interstitial is just a fancy way for saying in between. An ad that comes up in between me clicking and then me seeing the oil tanker article. And it's on a timer, so it doesn't last forever. It lasts for a couple seconds, it counts down, and then it says, okay, you can skip this. Perhaps you've seen these before. That kind of interstitial advertising is powerful because you get to reach an incredibly large volume of people for a very, very tiny fractional price. So the downside with using interstitial ads is that it's not targeted at all. It's cold traffic, and the difference between cold and warm traffic is more likely to convert. Colder traffic is less likely to convert. So in this case, you're interrupting a flow from one ad, from one click to one, let's say, news article. People aren't expecting an ad, so your conversions per 1,000 are going to be lower than, let's say, somebody who saw a video of yours on YouTube and then clicked through. That's going to be a higher conversion. Why? Because they're warmer towards you. They know you. They were expecting it. They're already in the search for something like this. So don't let the lower percentage conversions bother you, because on places like interstitial ad sites like AdFly, it's really, really inexpensive and cheap, because they're already getting the traffic anyway, so they just pass the savings on to you and they show this ad. So even if you get 1 out of 1,000 to opt in, it costs you so little, and when you go and see the prices, you'll be shocked. It's extremely cost effective. I once used it to put about 100 subscribers on my list in about 12 hours, and I think I spent maybe $10. So I can't promise that outcome for everybody, but I just want to give you a sense of how easy and inexpensive it can be and how quick to use interstitial advertising. So we found that for people who start off with no subscribers, no traffic whatsoever, that using a paid interstitial advertising site like FlyAds is probably the single greatest way that you can get from 0 to 100 subscribers right away. Why is it important to focus on one at a time? Well, that's because there are so many different ways that you can drive traffic excuse me, that it's actually dangerous in the beginning, because you could be all over the place trying all these different traffic strategies without really understanding or having mastery at any particular one. You're almost doomed for failure. So that way we keep our blinders on. If you've ever seen a horse draw, like a horse and carriage, where people go on romantic rides in these little horse and buggies, they have those blinders on the side of the horse's eyes. They put these little square things on so that the horses can't see other people. People don't distract them. Movement doesn't distract them, and they just stay focused. They have tunnel vision moving forward. So that's what I want you to do when you're trying to get some quick traffic to start off your list building, is to have tunnel vision moving forward. You can do whatever you want. You can try 50 different strategies, but I've found consistently that my students who focus on one traffic strategy at a time do a lot better, a lot faster than students who are all over the place, because you can't pay attention to that many things. Like, for example, if I gave you one phone number to memorize now, if I gave you a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or whatever a phone number would be, and I asked you to hold on to that in the RAM, in the short-term memory of your mind, you could hold on to that fairly easily. But what if I gave you 12 phone numbers verbally right now? Just started rattling them off and told you to hold them in your mind. Do you see how at some point your brain's just going to give in and it says, look, I can't keep all that information at one time. You'd have to take a pen and write them down or something, you see? Because it's just too much to hold in your brain. Brains are not designed to hold that much information in short-term storage. Well, in the same way, your brain's not used to all these different traffic strategies. So the more room you give your mind to work on these, the more likely you're going to do well at that one particular one. Therefore, get better at it and save time so that you can move into the next one quickly. So the rule of thumb is, from 0 to 100 subscribers, I like to keep you focused on paid traffic. And I would use FlyAds to do that. Now the next thing I'm going to need to do is go back to our bullets for a second. Before I do that, I just want to get these numbers down for our next slide. Okay, so take a look. We talked about understanding conversions and where to get clicks for pennies. We're going to start utilizing solo ads and ad swaps. I'll get back to the free traffic sites in a second, because I want to talk about solo ads and ad swaps. I think this is the really vital next piece that a lot of people miss. I'm really excited to be able to share this with you. So once you've got 100 subscribers, what do you do with it? Well, remember how I said you want to get multiple uses out of your traffic by trying to have a viral link at the bottom? I'm trying to get you the most for your time, energy, and money. So if you have 100 subscribers and you have your product offers in the back end, you're trying to monetize those subscribers with product offers. But also, there's another way. There's actually 2 other ways to monetize them. And remember, we're internet marketers. We're market monetizers. We want to try to monetize the market whenever we can. So why just settle on your 100 subscribers as being only something that you use to monetize through emails. What if you could monetize it through different ways? Wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, I would hope that you would want to at least consider it. So you move from 0 to 100 subscribers using FlyAdme very inexpensively, very quickly, very easily. You just paste your URL in there and hit campaign, and it goes. There's not a lot of complicated formulas, or you don't have to write content first. You just use it. It's easy in and out. Now you're sitting on 100 subscribers. The first thing you can do with those is you can do ad swaps. And in order to understand ad swaps, I want to teach you first about solo ads so that you know what an ad swap is. A solo ad is simply somebody sending your link to their list. That's simple. So if I have a list and you buy a solo ad off of me, that means that you'll pay for a certain number of clicks, let's say 100 clicks at a particular price, and then I will send your squeeze page to my list. That's it. If you buy 200 clicks, I send you 200 clicks to your squeeze page. What happens after that is up to you, because I can't guarantee you're going to get opt-ins. I don't know if your squeeze page is great or terrible. I don't know the particular 200 people on my list that are going to hit that page. I just know I'm supposed to drive you clicks and our deal is done. So that's what a solo ad is. And solo ads can be very effective. An ad swap is a way to do solo ads without paying anything. And here's how that works. Instead of just paying money for a solo ad, in an ad swap you're getting a solo ad from somebody else, but you're using your own list to swap with. Meaning, on a particular day, Tuesday, you're going to send your squeeze page link to me so I can send out an email to my list. But I'm also going to give you my squeeze page, and you're going to send out an email to your list. So we're trading clicks. If you say, let's trade 50 clicks on Tuesday, then I say, okay, give me your squeeze page address, and you say, great, here it is. Now, Sterling, you give me your squeeze page address, and I give you mine. Now, we each have the other person's squeeze page address. We draft a little quickie email that says, hey, go check out my friend Sterling's site. That's what you would say, and I would say, go check out my friend so-and-so's site, and we would each drive 50 clicks to the other one. So now you're taking your 100 subscribers, and you're utilizing them as an asset to build more subscribers. And this, my friends, can be worth even more to you than using the subscribers you have to try to get sales out of immediately. What if you could parlay those 100 subscribers you have into a list of 1,000 subscribers, or 10,000, or 25,000? I know one of my VIPs back from 2008 did mostly ad swaps and built his list up to about 40,000 people. It took him a couple of years, but he did it. Excuse me. So imagine taking this asset, this first 100 subscribers, and building it into a much, much bigger asset. So now the subscribers on your list have two values, two functions. One, they can pay you money for a product or service that you send to them as an affiliate. Or two, you can use them as bargaining chips in a way to get a bigger list. And look, you're given a free value. This is not manipulative. This is not unethical. Nobody has to be on your list. Nobody forced them to be on your list. You invited them to be on your list, and they accepted willfully. Hopefully you're doing double opt-in, so they double opted in willfully. And they're getting the free report that you gave them and free offers, and you're telling them about valuable products and services. You might be also giving them tips. If you have a VIP setup, you're probably also giving them all the tips, the emails that we give you. So they're making out on this deal. You're not doing anything wrong by saying, look, if you're not going to buy anything from me, maybe you can buy something from this other guy, and I can use that to get a subscriber. So don't feel bad about it. You're not using people against their will or something. This is a business deal, and hey, they can hit the unsubscribe button anytime, right? And they walk away with the better end of the deal because they got a free report out of you and they gave you nothing. So I want you to feel really, comfortable doing this stuff because it's done all the time, and it's an ethical, honest, acceptable way to build a list. Or of course I wouldn't be telling you about it. So now you can take those 100 subscribers and use them as bargaining chips to build a bigger list, because other people are going to want to have access to them, so they're going to send solo ads for you as you send them for them in ad swaps. Then eventually you can build that up to hundreds of subscribers, maybe even up to like 500 subscribers or more. So now with solo ads and ad swaps, you're free to buy a solo ad at any time, and the link to the community I'm going to give you in a minute allows you to do that. You can buy a solo ad without paying for it. In fact, before the invention of money, we had to do bartering. So if you went to the town square and you wanted a goat, let's say, you had to bring something that person who owned the goat wanted to trade, right? You'd have to bring 3 chickens or a coat or something and just strike up a deal. We still do bartering today. So you'd have to strike up a deal, but with money, it makes it a lot easier. So the reason I'm using that example is an ad swap is just a bartered double solo ad. I hope you understand that, because people get confused about ad swaps, but most of the time they understand solo ads pretty easily. You're buying a mailing to my list, right? Just like if you bought a newspaper advertisement in the New York Times, or you bought a 30-second commercial on the Super Bowl, right? It's the same thing. You're buying a commercial on my list. I will send you, I will send your link to so and so many number of people on my list. Well, you're just buying an ad like anywhere else. It's a solo ad. Solo meaning I send out information just about you and nobody else. Now, occasionally you'll be buying an e-zine ad where there's other ads in there, but most of the time, my experience has been solo ads. Most people mean them to be a solo mailing directly about you. So an ad swap is a way to cut the cost out, because I like to try to keep your dollars in your pocket where they belong and not, make you spend a whole bunch of money on stuff that you don't need. I prefer you keep that money. So if possible, if you can do ad swaps, it saves you money from having to pay for solo ads. Now there's a downside to it, because you're not going to be able to swap with much bigger people. Let's say you only have a list of 200 people, but you want to buy 200 clicks. Well, you're going to have a difficult time getting all 200 of your people to take action on the same day. So that's why sometimes solo ads are better. And look, we have to be honest. You have to be able to spend a little money in order to grow your business. I am still perplexed by the number of people who expect to grow a six-figure business from home, but when I tell them they need $19 a month for an Aweber account, they lose their minds. Are you kidding me? $19? Yeah, man, $19. It's not that big of a deal. If you buy a hot dog cart, it'll cost you $100,000, and you're lucky if you can make $100,000 with that. In this business, you can make $100,000 if you do it right, and it doesn't cost you nearly that kind of money if you do it right. So, of course, I can't guarantee any sign-ups or sales for anybody. Nobody can guarantee anybody's going to earn anything, just like nobody can guarantee me. But the point is, it's a very leverageable business where you can make small investments in your growth compared to other places where it needs tremendously large investments in your growth. Look, you're never going to have to paint your squeeze page, even though you might have to paint the building that you operate in, or if you have to pay hundreds of dollars every week for landscaping at the business that you run offline. You don't have to do landscaping online. You see, it just saves you a lot of money. It's a very leverageable, easy business, but you do have to be able to spend money sometimes. So that's why solo ads are a great way to do it, but if you can't afford solo ads, try to do ad swaps to make it there. And why do I like these so much? Well, remember we talked about interstitial ads being cold traffic before? Well, solo ads and ad swaps are going out to people who have already subscribed to somebody else's list. You see, they are qualified, right? Somebody else has gone to the trouble to drive that traffic to their list. They've pre-qualified them. Look, if they weren't interested in what you had to offer, they wouldn't have got on the other guy's list, right? So the other guy already did the filtering ahead of time. He already sorted them out and said, look, these people, I can tell you they're already interested in this kind of thing because I got them. So that's why they're more valuable, because they're warmer type of traffic. The interstitial ads that you're going to get from fly ads, they're going to be easier to get and less expensive because they're not as warm. So you're going to pay more money for a click from a solo ad provider, than you are ever from an interstitial ad. So the reason we use interstitial ads in the beginning is as not a cheat, but like a quick shortcut way to get ourselves some subscribers quickly. So technically speaking, as you are taking your 100 subscribers you got from AdFly and swapping them with the person who maybe has 100 subscribers from, really expensive paid ads, a click is still a click, but you may be getting a higher value click back from the person than the value of the click you're sending, you see? Because maybe the people that you got from your fly ad campaign maybe aren't quite as qualified as the people that person got from, paying a lot of money for a pay-per-click campaign or something else, right? Or maybe he got some of his list from doing solo ads and ad swaps from somebody else, which happens all the time. So, if you do find that your first 100 or a few hundred, I recommend people use fly ads up to the thousands if they can. But let's just say you only used it for your first 100. They're probably not going to convert into sales as well as somebody who's a faithful buyer on somebody else's buyer's list, right? Who's been there for a couple of years and spent a lot of money. But that's okay, because remember, in the beginning, we want not just to have sales, but more importantly, we want to have an asset like a list that we can then turn into a bigger list. So it's almost like a seed list or a starter list, you see? So the value of your first subscribers is not really dependent that much upon how many sales you get out of them. They're actually worth more in some ways to be traded for a larger list. Does that make sense? I hope you understand that. It's a complex and subtle thing, but if you get it, you can see that a lot of people just don't understand this, and they oversimplify it, and then they miss out. So we don't want that to happen to you. So you can go to the community over at adswapwith.me, another redirect, so in case we find that there's a better program we can be a part of, we'll flip that around for you. And of course, these are affiliate links, so I may be compensated if you use them. And if you decide to become a member of the AdSwap with me community, you can find me in there. And it's another one of the reasons that I use an affiliate link, is because I get notified when my people sign up. So you can friend me when you get in there, or I'll friend you. If you don't beat me to it, I'll friend you. And then I can watch out for you and say, hey, how's it going? And maybe I can introduce you to other recommendations that other people have told me. Hey, I ad swapped with so-and-so, and he sent me a lot of clicks. It was really good. So we want to stick together. So this is why I like to use these affiliate redirects, because I know who's using these services, and then I can keep my eye on you, which is very helpful. So I say on these things 0 to 100. Or 100 to 500. Now, of course, I don't mean to be so arbitrary. I just use these as a rule of thumb. If you want to keep using FlyAdMe to get quick traffic, even during the next 100 to 500, of course, be my guest. I would recommend it. Anything that gets you there faster and easier, we want, right? You can even buy solo ads right from the beginning at 0 if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. However, you can't really do ad swaps until you have a certain number of people to swap, right? That's why they call it a swap. You need people to swap. So that's the only limitation you have around ad swaps, is you need to get to, like, I'd say a minimum of 100 or so, and then you can start swapping. And remember, your swaps are going to be slow and small in the beginning. You might swap 15 clicks with one person and 20 with another. You might think, man, this will take me forever. But you got to build a reputation in the community too. You got to be able to build a reputation where somebody says, I give this person a thumbs up. They did what they said they were going to do, and I approve of them. So other people can see the rep that you're building. And again, that's why these 15 or 20 person swaps, they're not necessarily just for sales. They're for positioning. Just like your first 100 subscribers aren't necessarily just for sales. They're positioning you for a bigger game, right? So keep the big picture in mind. Now that you're in the zone and you're starting to build into the hundreds, I want to tell you about another third powerful way that we started to use in the 500 to 1,000 subscriber range, and they're called safe list or viral list builders. Remember, gang, I could be teaching you so many different traffic strategies. I have over 50 of them written down that I've taught over time, and there's a lot of them. And I have to be honest with you, a little side note here. In the beginning, as an internet marketing teacher, I thought it was my job to teach you everything. I thought I had to be the walking encyclopedia of this kind of thing. But I found out that what you really want from me is not volume of information overload. You've already got information overload, right? What do you need more information for? What you need from me is actually less. You need me to filter and tell you, from my point of view, what you should not do, just as much as what you should do. So before I tell you about safe lists and viral list builders, I want to talk to you a little bit about different types of traffic. We can talk about just straight up paid or swapped traffic. Then we can move up a level to talk about content-based traffic. Oops, sorry about that. Little typo. We could talk about content-based traffic. And then we can talk about, for example, social media kind of traffic. And we want to look at layers of complexity. So what the heck does layers of complexity mean? Well, when you start out, this stuff is new, right? And new things always take up more space in our brains than things that we're used to. If you remember the first time you learned to drive a car, man, it felt like a million switches. It felt like you were trying to drive a 747, fly an airplane. The stick shift, everything over here, the brakes over there, the steering wheel, you were just a little overwhelmed, right? Because it was a new thing. But now, how many times have you driven somewhere and you had a conversation, you don't even remember driving while you were doing it, because it's just such an automatic function. Now you drive safely and effectively, but you don't even have to pay that much attention to it. So it gets smaller in a way. You see, it takes up less footprint in your mind. It takes up less space. Well, in the same way, you want to take a look at layers of complexity in traffic strategies, because one of the things about quick traffic that we want to make sure you understand, is for it to be quick, it has to be as easy as possible. So if you add layers of complexity to it, it's going to take longer, be more confusing, more distracting, and it has much more moving parts, so that you may actually get one of those parts wrong. So one of the things people don't really understand when I teach this stuff until I tell them, one of the things they don't understand about the criteria I use to choose traffic strategies for my subscribers is why I choose to give you the things I choose to and when. One of the major reasons is, in the beginning, something like fly ads is extremely easy to work and understand. You paste your code in there, your URL, whatever your squeeze page address is, you paste it in there, you select the campaign you want, and you hit send. Done. One button. Easy, right? But what if you had to write an article first, or record a video? Think about it for a second. How many more steps are there in the video that I'm recording right now? I have to have my slides ready, I have to do the research, I have to get my curriculum down, I have to test it, I have to get my Camtasia going. I could be recording this, but the mic wasn't turned on. I mean, there's 1,000 ways to die. The more complex it gets, there's a lot of more different ways that you can mess things up. It's not as easy, it's not as fast, and it's not as, I don't want to say guaranteed to work, but it's not as easy to do, meaning there's less likely that you'll screw it up somehow, right? The more complex moving parts are, the more likely you are to screw it up. If there was 1,000 steps, the first couple of times we'd almost assuredly mess it up and not get the result we wanted. And we need momentum in the beginning. We need wins, right? So we want to keep it simple. You know how they say KISS, keep it simple, stupid. That's what they say. So in the beginning, we want to win. I want you guys to take your first traffic campaign and get some subscribers. Wow, it's easy. I'm a list builder now. Exactly. So we talk about these layers of complexity that content generation add, and we see that in the beginning it's not a wise strategy. I mean, I don't want to tell you not to do articles, and I used to recommend article marketing from the beginning, but I found that it takes a while to master, so I would rather from the very start you build up a couple hundred subscribers the easiest ways possible, then start to go into content development. Then add the extra layer of social media. So for example, if you had social media and you wanted to say, hey, come check out my article or check out my video, now you've got to join the social media, get a following first on Twitter or something, then create the video content, then drive the traffic from social media to the video content, and then drive them to your squeeze page. You see how many extra layers of complexity it is? Not that there's anything wrong with those methods, but in the beginning we want to keep it simple, as simple as possible to move you forward. And I think you basically understand what I'm saying. So now let's move into safe lists and viral list builders. Understanding we're trying to keep it simple and not too complex. What is a safe list? Well, a safe list is a list of people that's safe to mail to. So we say safe, meaning you can mail to them without it being spam. So if let's say I went through the Yellow Pages. Imagine the Yellow Pages had email addresses in them. It doesn't, but let's just say it does. And I just strolled along and copied people's email addresses and put them on a big list together without them knowing it, without their permission, without even finding out what their interests are, just randomly grabbing 1,000 people's names and putting them on a list. Is that list safe to mail to? Of course the answer is no, because they didn't give you permission, they didn't opt in, and more importantly, it's not a relevancy list. They're not all interested in one thing. If I want to sell dog supplies to them, how do I know every one of them has a dog? How do I know that they're interested in dog stuff? You see? So they don't have relevancy and they don't have permission. So that list is not safe to mail to. In fact, it's dangerous to mail to, and you shouldn't build spam lists. You should build opt-in lists, double opt-in, permission-based lists. So a safe list is a site where a guy or a girl says, I'm going to put together a list on purpose, and the list's purpose is for you to be able to be a member of it and mail things to it and also receive mailings from it. Kind of like if you go to an open mic night at a bar, you take your guitar in there and you want to sing for everybody, you'll notice that a lot of the people in the audience also have their guitars. Why? Because they too want an audience of people. So it's kind of like guitar players playing for other guitar players. Now that has its pros and its cons. Some people might say, well, a safe list just sounds like a bunch of people trying to sell stuff to a bunch of people. That's dumb. Well, maybe. So there's going to be maybe a diminished return because of that. But at the same time, some of the most active buyers are sellers, right? Sellers buy a lot of stuff. So these are action takers. And remember, they had to get themselves on the list and qualify and do all these things. So it's really actually makes a lot of sense to use it. And a viral list builder is just a different version of a safe list. So I'll show you this link in a second that you can find a whole bunch of them at. But you have this opportunity now to join this list, and you will receive emails from everybody on the list every day, but you will also be able to send your offer, and your offer will go out to that same group of people, and some of those people may join your list and buy from you. It's happened to me. It happens a lot. I know people who have built thousands of thousands, tens of thousands of named lists strictly using safe lists and nothing else. So it works. So there's actually a site called TrafficZip.me that not only gives you access to a safe list, but it actually isn't a safe list itself. It's a safe list management tool. It's a site that allows you to join 20 or so different popular safe lists right through that site, and then manage all of your mailings through that site. That means that if you're a free member of Safe List A, let's say, Safe List A says you're allowed to send 2,000 emails every 4 days, right? That's your free membership. Or if you become a paid member, you're allowed to send 5,000 emails every 2 days as an upgraded member. So whatever you are, a free member or an upgraded member, it doesn't matter. You have to keep track of when you're allowed to do your next mailing, right? That's how they work. If you're a member of Safe List B, that might have a different combination. 4,000 emails every 3 days or something, right? It gets kind of complicated after a while to manage all that, especially manually. And if you miss going in to send your email, you missed your window, and then you have to, you missed a mailing, and you missed a couple thousand people that could have seen your offer. So using TrafficZip is an excellent way because it logs into all of them for you and counts them and auto sends when it's time for your next mailing. So it's kind of like a robot that does it all for you. So you just submit your little email in there, like here's your free downloads or something. If it's a free report, just put that in the subject line. Here's your free downloads, and then in the body copy, hi, here's your free downloads, and then put your link. That's it. You don't need to make a long one. In fact, the longer your email, I believe the more it's going to work against you, because in a safe list situation, people are reading a lot of emails every day. They don't want to read a long email. They appreciate it when you send them a short one. So here's your link. They'll say, okay, let me click it. Many of these are also called credit-based safe lists. That means that people earn credits to send more mailings by reading these emails. So they're opening these emails and clicking on the links to earn credits too. So there's even more incentive for them to open them, and it's more incentive for you to keep it short and sweet, right? So by automating the process with TrafficZip, now you can have your fly ads running. You can be a member of the community of the ad swaps and be booking ad swaps with people, or buying solo ads as well. And you can have your viral list builders and safe lists on autopilot. Now, out of the 40 some or 50 different traffic strategies I've ever taught, I promise you that these three, and in this order, have returned better results for more VIPs than any other combination that we've discovered so far. And as I said before, does that mean by the time you watch this video that these are the ultimate best strategies ever of all time? I can't tell you that. I don't know. I just represent a community, and the community speaks, and this is what we've learned so far. It's our best practices to date, right? And I use these 3 affiliate links, these 3 redirects, because I know what you're looking for when you go there. So if, for example, we find a better interstitial ad provider, I'll redirect on it, so you'll still get it. Same with the AdSwap community, same with the viral safe lists and viral list builders. So I'm trying to do you a service by giving you a domain name to go to that even if we change later our provider, you'll still be able to be redirected no matter what, because I want you to be able to get there no matter when you watch this video. So that combination of very inexpensive and easy to get interstitial ads, ad swaps that are targeted because they're people who have already opted into somebody else's list, and or solo ads as well, and safe list and viral list builders automated with TrafficZip is probably the quickest way that I could say you could get to 1,000 subscribers than any other way that I personally know in internet marketing. How to utilize free traffic sites effectively is, I think, the most important next thing I can tell you guys. And the way to understand free traffic sites is that it costs either time or money to get traffic. And I'm used to enough people saying that they're trying to keep their budget small, or sometimes they say their budget is non-existent. So I really look for other ways other than money to build a list. So free traffic sites are a way to sort of, as we said earlier, it's like a good cheat. It's like a little shortcut so that you don't have to use money. You can just use time instead. So whether you're using a traffic exchange where you're going to click around for points, credits so that you can show your other sites, or a JV giveaway site, and I'll explain those in a minute, or a forum, you have to understand that you're trying to use those to build your list in such a way that you can start to see sales come through and then parlay those sales back into the business, plow the profits back into the business, and buy much more quality traffic. So in the beginning, you're trying to get a leg up. Not everybody starts with free sites. Some people go immediately to solo ads and they buy thousands and thousands of solo ads and they build a big list right away. But if you don't have that kind of money, well, that's okay. Then you just try to use the free sites as effectively as you can as a substitute. So let's take a look at some of these extra credit ways that you can do that. So forums are free. You can go post a message on a forum, make a blog comment or a forum comment, but make sure it's valuable and helpful. Don't say anything stupid, and don't be highly overtly promotional, where in the middle of a conversation about something, you come in and say, hey, get my free report, everybody, because it's interrupting and there's no value to it, and you make yourself look bad. So if you're going to use content marketing by doing comments on blogs or forums, that takes a little bit more time and more of a subtle touch, but you can do it. Another great way that you can do that's free is JV giveaways. That's where a person puts together a bunch of different gifts from different people, such as yourself. So you offer your free report on your squeeze page, I offer mine, and 100 other people. So now there's a giveaway where it's 100 free gifts giveaway, and it happens for a certain week period of time. And that person advertises, come to my site and get 100 different gifts from 100 different marketers, and yours is one of them. So that's another great way that you can get into some qualified traffic. And just use Google to search for JV giveaways and you'll find some. Twitter's another great way. It just takes a little bit more leverage and a little more complexity to use it. But if you start following people who are in similar niche as you, maybe follow some people who already are building lists in that niche. Follow the people who are following them. I'll say that again. If you have a competitor, a person who's, let's say you're a dog trainer and you're trying to build a list of dog training interested people, then maybe you go to some other dog trainers' Twitter accounts and start following the people who are following that dog trainer. Because if you follow them, there's a large likelihood that they'll follow you, and that's a free way to get some targeted traffic, potential targeted traffic, because the people are on your following as well. And then you can send out a notice, every once in a while, download my free report, or I would love to get your opinion on my free report, or maybe make a point, reply to somebody else's feed. If they say, sometimes dogs are hard to train, you say, I sure agree with you. In fact, on page 7 of my free report here, I talk about that. So you can sort of work it in, but it causes a little more, it costs a little more time and energy to focus that right. But Twitter is another way to get targeted traffic. And another overlooked way to get targeted traffic is traffic exchanges. And these are places where people, sort of like a viral safe list, but they agree to view each other's sites, not view each other's emails, they view each other's sites. And you can get in there, put your site in the rotation, other people can see it, and click on it, maybe become a member of your list. So it's a much slower process, traffic exchanges, and it's really for people who don't have any funds at the moment but want to still use their time. They have more time than money. That's okay. Everybody has that situation sometimes. They can use traffic exchanges as a great way to leverage their time and turn it into money by clicking on a lot of different links and earning credits. So hopefully that makes sense. So I think the biggest point about traffic that I want you to understand is getting traffic can be easy, but trying to find ways to get traffic can be very difficult. And I want to eliminate all that trying and flailing around and researching by giving you the exact quick start traffic strategy plan that we use when new people join us for a Power Month or for a VIP setup service. We give them this, and it is the quickest way to get subscribers that I know of. In fact, if you go to our community site Marketer link, where all of our VIPs and all of our Power Monthers all gather together, you'll see that people are posting in real time that they're getting subscribers and sales. So you see up here in our ticker at the top of our Power Month page, I have people reporting in real time. Here's a gentleman from the UK, says first sale just happened about 15 minutes ago, $7 sale. And here's a young lady who's saying she posted an update that her list was 0. Now combined she has 440
Awesome, loving it, she says. So, this works. This is the best way. All of these people I check in with every week. Here's a gentleman whose numbers are up to 1,125. So we check in every week and we share what's working. We find out what each other are doing and report that in, and then find out, some other people will use that information, go back and work it on their list and come back and find out. Here's a gentleman who got 51 new subscribers in a day. So I just wanted you to see that it works, and you can see this ticker live for yourself at powermonth.com anytime you want. So I hope overall tonight you got the gist of it. I teach this stuff very, very differently than I taught before. I used to teach the everything. I used to teach, here are all the ways you can get traffic, and I even did something called the Total Traffic Package, where I went in detail for 8 weeks and spent hours and hours on each individual strategy. And that's great for people who are more advanced and want to learn all of the ways. But in the beginning, less is more. Focus, and then focus some more. Because the more of the junk and crap that you cut out, the more focus and energy you have to do the thing that you're doing effectively. And remember, some of these particular strategies, they take a little while to get good at. You might post your first fly ad and say, okay, I get it, Sterling, I got some traffic coming in. What's next? What's the next thing? Well, listen, man, there is no next thing. The next thing is go back and do it again, but get better at it. Which deal are you going to do? Worldwide deal, proxy deal, English-speaking countries, non-English-speaking countries? Which time of day do you want to send your stuff? How many thousand clicks do you want to buy at one time? These are all different layers of complexity that you can use in your favor to learn how to use the site. So just because you did one doesn't mean you get it, right? It just means you got started. And you have to respect the complexity of each one of these things. Respect that they can be learned, they can be mastered. Where else do you expect to just go and do something one time and be great at it? Did you ever pick up a tennis racket and just say, okay, I played tennis one time, I get tennis, I do tennis? Yeah, but you could be so much better at it. That doesn't mean you're done with tennis, you've mastered it. It's a completely, everything is a world. Everything has its own little world. And so solo ads, they're different than ad swaps, they're different than viral safe lists. Safe lists, can be different than paying for fly ads. There's so many different things to learn that you must focus. You must put yourself in a zone and say, I'm going to do this first and only this. Then I'm going to add this to it and learn this. Then I'm going to add this to it and keep going. And when you get to 1,000 subscribers, you're in a very different place. So I hope this is the thing that you were looking for. It's the quickest way that I know of to get you quick traffic. And most importantly, we'd love to have you as a member of the community, if you're not already, because we want to find out what you're working on. We're each a reporter for the other one. If you remember, King Arthur used to have the Knights of the Round Table, right? He would get together, and the knights from all the other kingdoms would sit at his table and advise him. If you've ever seen Donald Trump on The Apprentice, he doesn't just sit there by himself. Who's he with? He's got two people, one on each side, that he asks them and leans over and says, Caroline, what do you think of this person? What do you think? And he has different advisors because he wants to make the best decisions. So why would you go it alone? Become part of our communities. You can find out more at sterlingvalentine.com if you're not a member already. And join us. Put your head together with us, and let's find out together what are the best ways to get traffic, because these ways are the now. But tomorrow, there may be a better way. And do you want to get left behind and not find out about it, or do you want to stick with the pack? And when one benefits, we all benefit. So I'm Sterling Valentine. Please keep in touch and let me know how the quick traffic strategies work for you. Talk soon.